Things that are not the public's business and I will not be discussing. My financial matters, my pet care, my marriage or personal relationships. I know that doesn't leave a lot left, but I've been on YouTube long enough that I am entitled to money regardless of the quality of my content. And another thing.
What are you doing?
I'm just clearing the air for people of how things are going to go down on this channel now.
Alright, whatever.
We have to have boundaries. By the way, has anyone seen my wedding ring? You like short hair? I can have short hair. You like blondes? I can be blonde. Hyper. I'm bleeding, and you're gonna get it. Eurobees and shit. Hello everyone, I'm Steve. Marc's around. Say hi, Marc.
Hey everybody.
And this is Smokeysteveandmarc. Either welcome or welcome back, and happy Saturday. Weekend, coffee in the afternoon, powdered hazelnut creamer. The Dollar Tree one, still, it's okay. And then some overly priced coffee pod. So I hope everyone's well and safe. Look after yourselves, look after each other, stay warm. Today we're going to catch up with our fair lady, Chantal Marie, Foodie Beauty, Big Beautiful Me, the Daily Chantopolis. Chantal and Sala is still existing in theory. And of course, Foodie Beauty again. More so perhaps that she's home, has she been more foodied than before. So last week we checked in, we talked about, on a serious note, Little Mama, who was a creator who passed away and whose husband had brought to YouTube that he believed some of the backlash she got from her channel was what kind of maybe pushed it that way. So we had a little bit of a talk about some serious stuff. Aside from that, we had the talk about the ridiculous conversion to Islam, letting people know the rules, let them know, and then tell us how you're skirting them too. She's home now. Things are a little different. And she came for milk tea last week. I like milk tea, so I shared a few thoughts. So this week, she's back. And we have new rules as viewers, as showed you in the intro to intro. She was high as hell in one of her streams, had an excuse for it. Marc's going to be joining us to talk about that a little bit. Ditching her cats, because they seem to be an inconvenience now. If only they would die of natural causes so she could not be guilty. And the outhouse made another cameo. We're back near the outhouse all of a sudden, now that we're back on soil. So, she's back. She's very much back. So what's different and what's not? We'll say in Kuwait, the picture of Chantal was this crafted picture was, this modest Muslim woman, dutiful, soft-spoken. People call it the low BMI voice. I understand what they mean. To try to put on a show that she was being a good person. And this was all in the right direction. And it wasn't just for Salah. It was for Allah, too. Okay. Side note on morality. If we go to see Allah and the virgins and stuff, Allah's not going to ask about what Shannon did, or what Pete's did, or what Natter did. They'll ask about what you did. So I know that you're not familiar with some tenets of the faith, but, paradise is reserved for certain folks. So, goodbye, Miriam. Hello, Outhouse. So there was the new name, there was this, there was that, and now we're back, and it's same old Foodie Beauty, eating Burger King on camera, eating Burger King in the car, driving without looking at the road because she's holding food at the time. Stuff like that. So the outhouse was weird because that was like a meeting point that would come up during the big part of the Natter arc. She would end up there and it was like, who's that? Who is she seeing? Who's in the background? What's going on here? Do they meet up here? Is it a cop spot? It's been a focus of discussion because it's pretty much like a plumbing-free outhouse on the side of a road with like No stops. Not exactly a tourist plaza, as you might have on other interstates that, we've seen. What else that she's back? She forgot her ring. She forgot her ring. It's still in Kuwait. Now, I don't know if the Kuwaiti fire department had to cut it off or if she waited until she landed back in Canada. But nobody was taking that ring off of her. Certainly not to have it fall off. That thing would fall off my thumb. But it was, I guess, trying to give a lighthearted picture. But now that she's back, there's really no trace that she was married. And if she took off the clothing, there'd be no trace that she was ever married to a Muslim man at all. There's no documents, which we're not entitled to. But you gotta be curious when it looks like a sham marriage, if there's anything backing it up. No one's owed evidence, but for a lot of people, I don't think they feel like they need it. They can read the truth through action rather than words, because Chantal changes her mind often about telling the truth. I was going to be honest, but I changed my mind, so that's not lying. Somehow. Just to give you like a point of reference, for Mark and I, because we're newlyweds. Two, I guess if you want to say two. My ring, I wear it out of the house. Mark usually doesn't wear it in the house, but puts it on when he goes out, because we trust each other in our home to be, devout, and we're with each other, and there's a symbol of it. But if I go out without that, or he goes out without that, I don't, what's the point? What is it saying? It wasn't an ugly ring. It was good enough for her to marry on. Why would she leave it with him? And when allegedly, I think she bought, it all kind of exposes the shamminess of a lot of this, the sham stuff that's been happening. So, yeah, Mark will never do it to me. That's all. And with the rules that we have about what we're supposed to talk about and what we're not supposed to talk about, pets, relationship, finances, what the F else are we going to talk about on that channel? There's nothing else on it except for eating and looking at the camera, waiting for a reason to be pissed off. Driving now while it's pretty bad weather where she is, and she's taken a couple long drives for fuck all. And that's not safe either, especially in a broken down Kia. And when we're talking about feedback via the comments section, she shuts them off. I don't know what kind of comments she thinks should only be allowed. Just ass pats, just supportive comments. If it's only for supportive comments and nothing else, then it's not a true comments section. It's like stacking the deck. And if there's only 20 comments from people who are supportive and you've had to delete 190, we don't know the ratio, but you do. You do. And she's gained a few hundred subs. She's at 94K as of today, after 4 in the afternoon Eastern time. And so that's a little bit of a climb, but she's bought subs before. But doing outrageous things has kind of become her hallmark now. She's the well has run dry. She's changed religions. She's moved out of the country and lived abroad on what seemed like not much prep to do. She's done arguably more living than she did the year before, just getting, stoned, bitching about natter and eating fried chicken that she found in her bedroom drawer. So that was a really different time. But now that she's back, is it going to be time for it again? Very suddenly, she had a huge full face of makeup on. All of a sudden, I always put on makeup to go to get cigarettes. So there was well, what are you doing there? And then the outhouse, which was a stopping point during the whole natter thing, whether she was meeting someone there to do something nefarious, or if she really just couldn't hold it that long and was going to go shit in the woods, instead of holding it to go to a bathroom. So that's not for me to say, really. With Sala being left behind, now that she's back, I'm curious if we will hear from him again at all. There was a video that coincided with her leaving on their channel. So she put up something post being there with him. There was another vlog, the boring ones that go do some free stuff somewhere, or they go to a zoo that looks like a hospice for animals, and things like that. Speaking of animal hospice, we'll talk about the cats in a little bit. Ugh. So let's talk about kitty cats. I love my kitty cats. I'm a first-time pet owner, and not till I was almost 30-something did I have a cat. And now we have two because we brought Oscar with us when we moved. We're no saints, But we liked the cat and we had room for it, so we brought it in. And we could afford, two of us working in human services can afford to feed a cat. Chantal makes 12 grand a month and is asking for handouts. So these cats, she's had, I don't know, BBJ, who's the senior cat that gets a lot of attention because it's a senior cat, it's 20 years old. And rehoming an animal at that age can be challenging. Some people just don't want, like, they don't want old cats. Chantal had said, I hope she goes with an old woman so that they can die together. This cat at this point has become an inconvenience to her. It has stopped being a source of anything but nah. So I don't think she's hoping that, to some degree, her life would be less complicated if she didn't have cats. But she does. So trying to rewind the clock and say, well, life's more convenient without pets. Let me just get rid of them. And we just put them over here somewhere. Maybe I'll take them to a shelter. Well, do you want the cats? You can have them. I am sure there's people in the chat who said, I'll take your cats. Give them to me. Which is a nice sentiment, but I'm not sure how it would break down. But people were rather surprised, even at her, about the callousness, because her relationship with her pets is pretty much about her. It's how she wants to be seen playing with them and how she looks doing this. And then Pete's is there, and he was a pet owner, but Timbit was very sick. And Chantal broke face a little bit and said she had to pay more than she thought for Timbit to get some treatment because Timbit needed veterinary care when he came to the villa too. So when she talks so kind of carelessly about, well, you know, cat's getting older, euthanize him. Oh, just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, her saying just kidding right after is a tell. It's a tell that she's not kidding. She's not kidding at all. Not saying I don't know if she'd be sad if BBJ, you know, died. I just think she'd get over it quick. Some people grieve very minimally for things, and I suspect that with the cat it would be the same thing too. So, again, first-time pet owner, I would never be able to do that. I could not possibly. Think about it. And if they were sick, like, again, not trying to be a martyr here, but like, the cats eat before we do. Like, if money was low enough, and it's only been there a few times, fortunately, but when it's low enough that you're starting to look at human food versus pet food, I can go feed myself on something. The cats can't cook, the cats can't reach the counter, they try to jump, and they can't do for themselves in the way that someone who's dependent on another person would, adult or child or whatever. And after supplying that support for years, allegedly, suddenly deciding to take a cat out of its environment, take it to other people to have it. So it's not even just like Chantal's moving like she did last time and brought the cats with, which BBJ still would have been in his late teens because she's only been at the villa a few years. And if BBJ's 10, she moved them when he was, you know, middle to later age, I suppose. Disgusted. I was absolutely disgusted at the idea that she just wanted to get rid of them because it was inconvenient. I mean, how self-centered. Really. Really. So, oh God, the poor dear. And so, as far as ditching the cats, I thought maybe she was trolling, to be fair. I thought that maybe it was like, because she's going with like this, what's the next big outrageous thing kind of arc, if you will. And whatever the next big thing is, oh, I'll get rid of the cats. Everyone always worries about the cats. They hate the way I treat the cats. So I'll say I'm going to get rid of the cats. And then they'll all come to my channel and scream and watch and this. And she does that well because about every other time she does it, it works. She's as easily outraged with her shaming as some viewers are with her behavior. Like, none of it is surprising. And especially in this era of her now doing random ass things for attention. Like, there's no planned content. There's no, this is coming up or that's coming up. There's not even like a promise of it. She was going to try to do good with food, I know. And she went and spent $400 on food, which if you're buying organic or you live in Canada, it could be expensive. But then taking it home and going out to get fast food. Like, why bother? We did this before with the other fake vegan phases. Anything green that grew that way in her fridge died and rotted that way. It didn't get eaten. It sat around in a pot for 3 months that grew mold. She's not doing it anywhere but on camera. She's not Muslim anywhere but in Kuwait on camera. I suspect at home again, she's not wearing the hijab because she doesn't have to. She's only on camera. Yeah, I think that pizza's there is probably not kosher for her to be, living there. Pizza's there. He's a guy. somehow these things that would be often deal breakers in a more conservative, religious, it's like, oh, Salah's just such a free spirit. He just doesn't care. Oh, take off your wedding ring. Go ahead. Go back and live with your boyfriend who you tried to hook up with. Oh, did hook up with when you were drunk. Go ahead. That's fine. I have no problems with my wife doing any of that. Does that sound at all like anything that someone would say? And since there's no proof of marriage at this point, it's just a story. It's just a story. It's a sad story, though, because she had to finance the whole thing. This wasn't a romantic trip to the Middle East and hang out in a villa of his own and sit around and, eat tapas all day and vlog. It didn't turn out like that at all. She stayed in... There's more windows in a jail cell often than there were in his first place where they stayed when she got there. And she was willing to make all sorts of accommodations to make that work. Her cats don't get the same accommodations. She'll get rid of them. Salah probably doesn't like them. There might be something in her faith that could conflict with it. And Nader didn't like them. Remember, he didn't kick, but depending on how abused she is that day, he kicked the cat or he pushed it. It depends on what she's going for as far as pity. But he didn't like them either. So all the reasons that she'd want to get rid of them are for, well, men. Or, well, laziness. That cat has provided her with companionship for like 2 decades, and she could just as easily hand it out the door and leave. That's sad. That's sad. But am I surprised? And Burger King played a big role, I would say, this week, not as the centerpiece, but for what it kind of stood for. It's kind of it's something about Foodie Beauty. She eats a lot of Burger King. She was eating Burger King like every, I don't know how often, when she was in Kuwait. She's at like the center. She's like right there at the Fertile Crescent is in that region, like the start of civilization and thousands of years of history, all types of cuisines. Let's go to Burger King. Go to Burger. You might as well have just stayed. You might as well have vacationed in. I always pick on Akron, but Akron, somewhere where there's nothing to do but sit around, complain, and eat. And that was pretty much what seemed like she did the whole time. They took a few day trips, but she was there for 90 days. So there was a lot of downtime in that small room in 90 days. Maybe for people to reconsider their decisions, reconsider their commitment. Salah, like I said, is either the most laid-back guy ever or doesn't give a shit. At all. Whatever he was going to get out of this, I think he got, or whatever he was promised, he's not going to get. So unless he starts making videos like Nader, it'll be adios Salah, and we won't hear from him again, probably. Again, only Muslim on camera, so she bought all this food, these groceries. Now, she kind of just haphazardly bought stuff. She did get some products that she was targeted to halal, like in her tradition that she can have. But then there's others that weren't. She went through the drive-thru and got an Angry Whopper, which I think has bacon on it, and then the chicken nuggets, which might not, again, it's only on camera. What we don't know that goes on behind the scenes is that she pretty much is going to do whatever the F she wants to do, and she'll try to frame it a certain way on camera, but the mask always falls off. There's always Nader turning a camera, and she's in the background all of a sudden. There's, I just found stuff in my drawer. I didn't plan to get high. I just found a gummy, a 10 milligram gummy. Okay. So for the drug and alcohol stuff, I'm going to bring Mark in and we're going to talk about that for a little bit. He has more experience with it. He's watched that part of the review with me, and I'm curious to hear his perspective, and he wasn't here last week. So, all right. Mark? Yeah. Would you come in here, please? Yeah. Thank you. Mark, come here, come hither. You guys remember Mark? Everybody. Or maybe you don't if you're from a couple weeks ago. Welcome.
Yeah,
this is Mark. He's the Marc. So
yes, I am.
Yes, you are. So we were just talking about Foodie Beauty and her questionable decisions, and now she's back, in North America.
Yeah.
And she had put out there on camera one night. She didn't look very well.
Yeah.
She was very tired.
She was tired.
And initially she said it was the mineral water. Yeah. And then it was jet lag. And then she found a gummy and she put up the community post saying that, I found a gummy and I did this.
Yeah.
Now,
she was busted.
Now, I know she's lying, but let's explain to everyone how common it is for someone to lie about that kind of stuff. And how it's never true.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I have some notes here because I didn't want to forget a couple things here because things really
stood out to me this last week. Oh man.
Again, the outrageous arc. Now it's like, but anyway.
Well, you know, what it is that she loves to create drama. She loves to gaslight. She loves to create drama. She loves to do all of this stuff, even though she fires back in rage streams and, you know, all this. She loves it. And we've seen it time and time and time and time again just this past week alone. I mean, it's really quite sad. I mean, but yeah, the gummy thing. If I could tell you the number of times that I said those exact same words. Oh my gosh, I was making my bed and this was under my pillow.
And a syringe fell out.
Right.
You know, like,
or I was cleaning out my underwear drawer and I found, like, you know, I personally have said it many times, and I work in the industry, and
I've said it
hear
too
it a lot.
I just found that vodka in my Scope bottle.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is, whether you found it or not, you still took it. Okay. I mean, you know, relapse or addiction in itself, you know, is not just taking something. There's a whole process to it. You know, because you found it doesn't mean you have to take it. You know, if you take it doesn't mean you have to lie about it either, you know, but that is the first thing that usually happens, you know.
Well, I think she thought she could hide it.
I thought, and hey, you know what, whatever. But I believe it was much more than a gummy, of course. I mean, in her first day back, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that this woman is, well, impaired in some way, we'll say, you know.
That's a way to put it.
You know, it is interesting to me that she was in Kuwait that long. Was she using something? Was she not using something? I do know that drugs, especially opiates, you can't just quit. There will be sure signs. You will go into withdrawal. And we didn't see any of that in Kuwait. So she either was continuing to use, or she did stop, and it was like THC, CBD, even cocaine. You can mask, you know, coming off of that. But is it a possibility that she was using the whole time there? Of course it is. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
Maybe he is too.
Have addiction will travel. It comes with.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It can change.
But a sure sign is that now that she's back, the first thing that she runs to is her addictions, and not just drugs, all of them. The food. I mean, you know, again, it's very obvious how much weight she's gained. And that's part of her addiction as well. You know, I'm waiting to see the men come in.
The men are next.
Now she's
all these men
modest married woman right now. But she's back, and she's close to
Natter.
Yeah, someone who she is completely still obsessed with. And how about that? He cooked all that food.
He was cooking all this food for Dee Dee's brother who was coming over, and then conspicuously everyone's gone.
Oh, I know. And didn't she come back like totally all made up? And I don't know. I didn't
she
actually
popped up at
that.
some time when it seemed weird that she would have put on makeup in between these two things.
Yeah, it was interesting, you know. But anyway, I digress. Let me get back to my notes, because I get off topic real easy. But anyway, yeah. So, well, no, I did cover everything. Good. Okay, that's good. And, you know, not to mention the fact that we saw her at the outhouse again. Very interesting to me. I mean, not surprising, but interesting that she would do this in a live stream. I believe she thinks she was being cute doing it on a live stream, because it would prove that she wasn't going to the outhouse to get something. What did it for me is when at the one point in the video, and the video is everywhere, there's even clips of it on Twitter, different places. She gets around the car and she crouches down in the back so we can't see what's going on. Come on. You know, this is all extremely obvious to me.
I mean, maybe it's just to us because we've done it and seen it done and been in treatment with it.
I work in it.
And there are people dumb enough to believe her. Because who wants to believe that someone you care about has an addiction?
Especially being presented from a master manipulator like she is.
She's sharp.
She is sharp.
She's very sharp.
She's manipulating her VIBs and all of her viewers, and some of them are falling for it, but the majority are not. I do think, you know, that, and I guess tied into this really was, a couple videos this week where she was driving, this distracted driving that she does. That was one of my pet peeves before the whole Kuwait thing.
Mine too.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. I mean, it is bad. The one night it was, the roads were deplorable. I mean, she showed the roads and these big mountains of snow and it's icy, and she is more focused on looking at herself in that camera.
I know. Let's just say I'm driving.
Oh,
This is how she drives.
I know. I mean,
I shouldn't be looking at you. I should be looking at the road.
And on one count, it's funny, but it's not funny.
No, it's
she
dangerous.
Will hurt somebody, if not kill somebody. And what is she going to do? Laugh about that? Make a joke about that? Try to cover it up somehow? It's not going to happen. We've already seen her hit deers and curbs, and
and laugh
about it. So the distraction, and this happened a couple times. I think there were 2 videos in particular where she did one where she was getting donuts and coffee and eating them in the it was disgusting.
Just one, because Sala might be watching.
Right.
So just one donut.
Just one. Right.
It's like 2 dozen in the back on that pile of shit in her back seat.
And we need to remember that why did she go out in the first place? To get food. This was not an emergency. This wasn't something. Now, normal people, when it was snowing that bad, would maybe not go out. I don't need a donut. I mean, I can wait. It'll pass.
If you need the bread, milk stuff.
This was all to get food, to feed yet another addiction. And of course to make a live stream, to make a video.
Yeah.
It is, and again, I'm bringing this all for full circle. It's the laziest content as well. She wants to do the least amount of work she can possibly do, put out whatever shit content she can, and expect thousands and thousands of views.
20,000 people to watch.
Right.
Her name isn't enough to draw that on its own. She's got to be doing something.
She's got to be doing something. And unfortunately, she's in a place right now where she's kind of, pimping herself out with this whatever, all this drama, all this. It just makes her look terrible.
File charges again against Nat, or
this is bizarre to me. But, lazy content. All of this shows nothing has changed. If not, it's gotten worse. Yeah. And it's proven what her true character is. And when I say this every time, just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, just when my views of her couldn't get any worse, it gets worse. This week with the cats, with the drugs, with the eating, with the driving, all of that, I'm like, I'm so surprised that this is happening publicly like this, so out there. Most people would be kind of ashamed of this type of behavior.
Well, she's not burdened with shame.
No, she's not,
and she will not.
She wants that money. Now you and I, we have a channel, and we're not a large channel either.
We're a small channel.
This is a hobby for us. We enjoy doing it, and we put time and thought and creativity into the content that we create. We're not professionals. We're not nothing like that at all.
We're not just hanging the car,
However,
the phone out the car window.
If this were our job, if we were in this to make a sustainable income, I'm inclined to think we would put even more time and effort into it, not less.
Yeah.
And not, her content is her income. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And what it does is overall, the big picture, we do the work that we do because we respect our viewers. We like our viewers. We want to put something out that, may entertain you or make you think or whatever, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But she has absolutely no respect for her viewers at all. And it's a shame. I mean, does she think that us as viewers are that stupid to buy the stuff that she's selling? I mean, and I still don't get the VIBs. I mean, everybody can have their own opinion and support who they want to, but I don't understand the diehard Chantal fans at this point, after everything that's transpired and the public disrespect of them as viewers that she's shown outright and said outright.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, but I don't know. Those were just some things that stuck out to me this week. She's going, her and her channel, it's going down the tubes, and we're seeing it happen, and she realizes it too. That's why all these dramatic things are coming up again, like the cats. When I first heard all that with BBJ, okay, I'm like, I texted him right away, and I'm like, did you? And and you were like, oh, she has to be trolling or whatever.
There's no way someone would actually say it means something so cruel.
And that statement about, the cat, like, oh, maybe I should just euthanize him, or maybe he'll be happier with an old person. Yeah, because they can die together. Just kidding. None of that is a joke. None of that should not be talked like that.
That's the cat.
Deplorable behavior.
This is my baby, who I would not.
No.
I'd be tempted to pick him over some other people in my family.
Frankly. I know. They're actually.
He didn't choose to be here. We
part of our family.
We got him, and we are obligated to look after him.
Absolutely, it's responsibility.
Yeah.
And we, if one thing we know about her, she lacks all responsibility. The self-centeredness, the deplorable. I'm sorry, I'll just stop. She's proven to be
nasty.
Very, very deplorable.
She nasty.
This week.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Well, welcome back, Miriam. Yeah. So.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you, Marc, for your input.
All right.
Thank you for your thoughts.
Bye.
It's good to see you on the channel. On Coffee Talk again. All right. So let's bring this in for a landing here. So what's going to change going forward? I think not a lot. I think it's going to just revert back to maybe 4 months ago or so. I agree with what Marc said about men being another vice that she's going to find her way into. Texting a guy half a world away is not going to satisfy her need for attention. So I think she will probably go another way about it. Behind the scenes at first, she'll let just enough out to spark an interest she'll say no one should have. Some guy in the background, like she did with Natter. He had a different name. He had a different job. He looked different. The only thing he gave her was a couple cases of gonorrhea. So not everything that glitters is gold, just so we're aware. But there will be same old Chantal stuff. Lying, she weighed herself when she got back. That was the scale that I think Pete said was off by 70 pounds. That could be wrong. Fact check me, please. But off, that it wasn't accurate. And she thinks she weighs like the exact same as when she left. A lot of people traveling abroad, gain or lose weight depends where you're going, depends what you're eating. But she went to the Middle East and was having concerns about needing 2 seats to come back. If she only needed one getting there, and she didn't gain any weight. We're all living between filters and hijabs, which cut her up to here, so you can't really see most of her. It's another one of, meeting people like that could be interesting. I'm sure if you dress like you're Muslim, you'll probably try to get Muslim guys. I think she thought she struck gold when she came up with this whole thing. She's like, great, now I can exploit brown and black men all over the world. How wonderful. So I don't see things changing. I think she'll go back to herself. It won't be long before she's using the R word, before she's writing community posts about Dee Dee, talking like a 3rd grader about the whole thing. Empty threats about filing charges against Natter, and like that stuff will come up again. Well, I'm gonna do it the second I get back. I'm gonna do. It's not. It's the same old bullshit. And I don't see her resurrecting this thing with Natter and Dee Dee, because both of them exposed how fake each other are. That it's not even fun to entertain that a situation they would create would be interesting or true. Everyone knows both of them lie. Lying isn't acting either. Let's be clear. Some people are good and some people are bad at it. But I think it's just going to go. I think Natter's going to be back on the scene. I think she'll be talking shit to Dee Dee. Like I said, swearing up and down, using the R word, trying to get high off mineral water, or blaming it for her being 3 sheets to the wind. Pupils going different directions. So we'll see. I'll be here for it. So thank you all for joining. Thank you all for being here. It was nice to sit down with you, nice to share a few thoughts, because it was a busy week and I had time to research and do a bit, but not actually anyway, when you put the whole picture together, it's really, really disgusting. And so we'll see you next week for something that's hopefully a little less disgusting. So thank you for watching. Please do subscribe, hit the bell. You'll get alerts when we have new videos and go live. We're on Facebook, Instagram, sort of on Twitter. Contact info, all that stuff's below in the description. Thank you, and we will catch up with you tomorrow night. We are going live at 6 p.m. Eastern. So, if you're free, do stop by. Open chat, no topic, just hanging out. It's usually a good crowd, smaller crowd, so don't hesitate. We'd love to see you. All right, thanks for watching. Bye. Say bye, Marc. Bye.